Hello and welcome to Euphoria. On this YouTube channel you'll find updates on my Lego city with its modular buildings, squares and little details, as well as videos on other Lego topics such as builds, ideas and techniques and my own designs. In this video we'll continue to look at the Sanctum Sanctorum building from the Lego set from 2022 and start on making the changes that I want to make to this building to improve its suitability for my Lego city. I really like this building, and as a traditional style city mansion I think it easily deserves a place in my Lego city. In the previous video in this series I decided on the changes that I want to make to this building. So now we'll be making a start on those changes, and in this video we'll be concentrating on the ground floor. This is the Sanctum Sanctorum building that I built from the Lego set. I enjoyed constructing this set according to the instructions, although as you can see I built it without adding all the Marvel minifigs flying around the building. Now I don't have superheroes in my city, so I want to de-Marvelify the building. In other words, to make it into an ordinary city building without being the Sanctum Sanctorum itself. I already made some minor changes to the set as part of the recent improvements to the city layout. Those included removing the dumpster from the alley and moving the newspaper box to a position on the corner of the building so that the alley down the side of the building is clear. And I changed the paving at the back of the building so that the back is fully paved, and I used a pattern of paving that matches up with the adjacent square in my Lego city. And of course you can see here that I added a city map and a red telephone kiosk at the back of the building. After thinking about how to place it in my Lego city, I put it right on the main plaza in the centre of the city, so that the front of the building faced onto the square and the lovely angled corner of the building was clearly visible. Although I built this set as it was designed, I thought of lots of ways that I might want to make changes or improvements. I made a video about some of those ideas, which were mostly around changing the size or proportions of the building or modifying the details, rather than completely changing the concept behind the design. And I want to keep the basic size of the building and its position in the city. I think the changes I want to make will be more obvious on the upper parts of the building. But now we're going to make a start on those changes by looking at the ground floor. So this is the ground floor of the building, or the first floor if you're on the other side of the pond. As you might have seen in the previous video, I decided on the main changes that I want to make to this level of the building. I love the grand entrance with the steps and the impressive front doors and the symmetrical front facade, so I won't be changing the front of the ground floor. looking at the strange portal thing at the back of the building, I don't really need that at the back, and I would rather have a plain back so that maybe in the future I can put something else against the rather featureless back of this building. So I'll be removing this changeable panel to make it into a plain brick wall. I do realise that this removes one of the play features of the set, but I feel that this weird entrance compromises the way the building fits into my Lego city. Now, at the back here, this cleverly built mezzanine level can be removed to reveal the corridor at the back and to provide access to this space in the corner. I'm hoping to reuse this space, or at least redesignate this space where the chained up book is, for something else. We'll be keeping this side entrance, even though not strictly needed, because I think it's a nice feature of the side elevation of the building. And it also provides access to this corridor at the back, which I also intend to keep. So let's make a start with the modifications for this level of the building. I'm going to start by removing some of these things on the outside and then taking out the things that I don't need from the inside. Now really I don't need this bit of internal wall that separates the corridor from the area in the corner, so I'm going to try and take that out. That proves to be a bit tricky because it's not only connected to the outside wall, it's also connected to parts of the interior wall, although I don't mind destroying that too much because that's going to come out anyway. I'm also removing the fridge, which I'm guessing is meant to provide a secret access to the space under the stairs. I'll put that to one side and possibly find a use for it later, or just keep it for another MOC. Now I want to remove this internal wall and the gubbins around the book chained to that wall. That means taking out parts of the side wall, as it's all connected together in the original assembly. So now I've taken down some of the back wall and some of the side wall, and I have quite a few random pieces lying about. But I've got some big holes in the walls, and those random pieces aren't going to fill those holes. So I'm going to use some masonry profile bricks in light bluish grey that I got off the pub wall to rebuild the walls. Now, before I go too far with this wall, I'm going to try and decide what to do with the back here. I've ended up with a very long corridor here with a storage unit in it, and that's accessible via this side door from the street, but it doesn't really go anywhere, and actually it never did. Now, I hadn't really intended to do anything with the grand entrance hall in the front here, but now I'm wondering if I could make some changes here.
I like having a big, impressive
You know, this area here isn't used for anything and seems to be a bit of a waste of space. And I really think there should be a way of getting from the corridor into the rest of the building. I did wonder about bringing these walls forward to about here to make a more usable space in the back.
But
I've got to remember that this mezzanine level still has to fit on here to provide access up to the level of the next floor. So I am a bit constrained in what I can do with these walls. So what I'm thinking to do is to move this clock into this space here somewhere, and that would allow me to have a door through from the corridor into the main hall here. So let's see if I can do that. When I try to move the clock, I find that it comes apart because it's actually built into the wall behind it. Something I'd forgotten from when I built the set. Perhaps I should have looked back at the instructions to find out how it was built in the first place. But it does come out in pieces, and I can fairly easily reassemble it into this rather nice looking freestanding long case clock. That does leave a bit of a hole in the wall behind it, but that doesn't matter because that's where I want to put the new internal door. With a minor change to tiling in the floor and removing the picture tile on the wall, the clock fits really neatly against the outside wall here. Now I want to fit a door somewhere in here, and I should be able to use just a normal 1x4x6 door frame and door to go in here something like this. I just need to pull a little bit of this wall out, and then just a couple of 1x1 bricks make the perfect space to slot the door in place. And now we have a way for the minifigs to get from the corridor at the back through into the main part of the house. Now I was going to just finish off this wall at the back and leave it there for the changes to the ground floor. But looking again at the way this mezzanine level works, I don't really like it. It makes the corridor below very cramped and dark, and although this storage area might contain some fun Easter eggs, they're not an essential part of the build. And these bits of the staircase at the sides of the main staircase look rather squashed and not really large enough. So although I know why the Lego designers have designed it like this, I'm going to be a bit more adventurous than I had intended and try to make some changes to the way the staircase works. What I have in mind is to keep the main staircase going up for another stair or two, and then turn to the right and left for the last step up to the next floor. I don't know whether this is going to work. It will involve changes to the floor above, and I haven't worked those out yet. But I am intending to make changes to the first floor anyway. So I'm going to give this a try, and I'll need to do some mocking up to work out how this might work. I'm going to extend the main staircase upwards by 2 steps. So the first step will go on here, and the second step on top of that. Then there'll be some kind of landing from which you can go right or left up a couple of shallow steps to the next floor. Now I sometimes find it hard to envisage this in 3D, so I've mocked up an example of how the next floor might go, and that will help me to get the position and height of the steps in the right place. Once I've worked out where they need to go, then I need to find some way of supporting this section that is at the moment just kind of floating in the air. It will be fairly easy to bridge across to the back wall, but then I'm going to find that it's virtually impossible to access the inside of this corridor if I wanted to. So what I'm thinking of doing is somehow making this section removable, a bit like the original mezzanine level that I'm replacing, so that I still have access to the corridor at the back. So after playing with a few ideas and quite a bit of trial and error, I ended up with this module, which contains the top 2 stairs and the little landing. It just slots into the gap at the top of the stairs and bridges across to the back wall. I will leave a space for it in the back wall for it to slot into. I also managed to create an upper section of the banister attached to this module, so that when I place it in position it continues from the lower section but doesn't attach to it. So this module just slots in place without any attachment and can be removed easily to gain access to the corridor at the back. When the next floor is put back on, the stairs at each side now continue up to the upper level. Now we know roughly what the floor plate for the next level of the building needs to look like. The new stairs used some parts from the original set, and we did need a few extra bricks, but we had quite a few parts from the set left over as well. I'm not sure what to do with this corridor at the back. It might be possible to add a kitchen into the end, as the space is 5 studs wide. It would have to be a rather cramped galley style kitchen. But we're going to leave that for now, and we'll just move the storage shelf into the other end of the corridor so that you don't have to squeeze past it when you come in the side door. Now all that's left for this level of the building is to rebuild the back wall. We'll build it in the same style as the original wall, with a mixture of masonry profile bricks and plain bricks, and replacing any bricks with studs on the side. Although I'm tempted to add just a couple of small windows at a high level to provide a bit of light into the back. Obviously, if we do end up with another building against the back of this one, then they will be blocked. I also have to include the space for the new module containing the top of the stairs to fit into to complete the outside wall. So that's the mods for the ground floor of this building done. I wasn't sure when we started whether it would work out, but now I'm pretty happy with the way this mod is going. Now, of course, these changes to the interior won't be visible from the outside. There are no changes to the front, and the changes to the back essentially just tidy up what was, more or less, a blank wall. So you may wonder why we're bothering with these changes. Well, there are 2 reasons. The first one is that I like the interiors of buildings to make sense, and the corridor going nowhere and the strange rear entrance portal thing kind of bothered me. But the second reason is that these changes enable the changes that I want to make to the other parts of the building higher up, and that is the real driver for these modifications. So in the next video in this series we'll be looking at changes to the structure and facade of the next floor of this building. So look out for that video coming up. Thanks for watching this one. Please press the like button if you liked it. Hit the bell button to be informed of any updates. Look out for videos about these modifications, and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more videos about this project, other MOCs and further developments in my LEGO City.